Hey, this has been great. I've had a really good time. I did too. Hey, this might be crazy, but do you want to maybe go somewhere? Hera, stop! He's your brother! No, 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 no. So everyone's Greek god soap opera is back, because that's ultimately what the Greek gods are. They're just a never-ending melodrama that's built on a mythologicized version of a place that no longer exists in the modern world, but dresses itself in the wrappings of historical ideas to present an amusement park attraction of a fetishized version of poverty in an area that's now gentrified beyond belief for upper middle class families to pretend they're surrounded by culture. And also, there's Hades too. But my hatred of EastEnders has nothing to do with Hades. Probably. In fact, I quite like Hades. The first one was great and provided an incredibly tight roguelite experience that had an obscure character from Greek mythos trying to find their way through the underworld and die trying. A lot. Now we have the next game from Supergiant Games, Hades 2. It's an incredibly tight roguelite experience that has an obscure character from Greek mythos trying to find their way through the underworld and not die trying. Hang on, that's basically the same. Look, Hades 2 is just more Hades 1. That's not a bad thing. Sequels are often iterative and build on the game that came before. But for developer Supergiant Games, this feels like a bit of a small step for them. I'll delve into how this game is great, incredible even, later. But I feel like I first need to highlight why it is a little disappointing, and that's in two key ways. Firstly, innovation. Now, Supergiant Games have a rich backlog of great indie games, but they were all different in some unique way. If you look at Wikipedia, you get a great representation of that. You started with Bastion in 2011, an action role-playing game. Then Transistor in 2014, an action role-playing game, which was followed by Pyre in 2017, which was an action role-playing game. And then finally Hades in 2020, an action role-playing game. I'm being purposefully silly here. If we pan the camera just a little further along, you see how these games all had something unique about them. Bastion had nothing, but was the foundational block of it all. Transistor had really interesting turn-based strategy vibes, with highly customizable and experimental combat. Pyre was a sports game that I didn't like, but also had a very heavy focus on characters and their individual stories that unfurl bit by bit, but also had a really bad sports game attached to it. Then, finally, Hades was a roguelike that combined all of this into one mega game, pulling all the strengths of previous games together to make something unique. So Hades 2 is, well, look at that. It's another roguelike, and it feels a little short-sighted. It's not particularly new, it's the same as Hades 1, just with more Hades. And that's good. I loved Hades, but I also loved Bastion. I also loved Transistor. Pyre exists. I'm hardly one to talk about new ideas and the like when I play lots of Final Fantasy and RPGs all the time, but there's something about Hades 2 that feels safe. Although that's not in the areas you'll be traveling.
Return to Shadow now.
If you played Hades 1, then the systems at play are all very familiar in Hades 2. Final Fantasy VI plays much the same as Final Fantasy IV. But that's fine, because where things often need to be different to truly stand out is, in my opinion, the story. And oh no, I don't think it works as well. In Hades 2, you play as Melinoe, a child of Hades and Persephone, just like Zagreus. If you thought Zagreus was a deep cut of Greek myth, then Melinoe is even more of an obscurity.
First I heard on
last best hope for stopping Chronos was the second-born of Hades and his queen, I said. Wait, who?
Yeah, Poseidon, my thoughts exactly. But that's fine, we've been here before. This time, you're not trying to escape the confines of your strict parent. Instead, your parent is, well, possibly dead. Hooray! Chronos, who you might mostly know as this grumpy-looking guy by Goya, I think that's the official title, has returned after his children absolutely murdered the heck out of him, cutting his balls open and spraying it all over the ocean, and just really ruining the man. No wonder he wanted to kill his kids. He's not returned as a happy chappy. Instead, he's, quite frankly, an angry pappy, and has seized the House of Hades and the underworld, and has gone to war with the surface to once more end his family, and it's up to Melinoe to stop that. Death to Chronos is the name of the game. Well, that's not correct, but that's your quest. That's what Melinoe says all the time.
Death to Chronos.
It's what Hecate says all the time.
Death to Chronos.
It's what Nemesis says all the time.
Knocked your scrawny ass all the way back here.
It's everything Melinoe has been raised to do, and that's because the return of the Titan of Time is an existential threat to everyone, everywhere. Or at least, specifically, anyone that previously wronged him. So, basically all of the gods. But that's fine, because the gods are on your side. They're pretty much as interested in not dying to Chronos as you are to killing Chronos.
They need my aid. We'll see if I need theirs.
Imagine the possibilities at play with the full power of the gods on your side. No more scrounging for scraps of power.
Grandmother.
Oh. The Greek gods are famously ambivalent to anything that doesn't directly benefit them. They're rarely nice people, throwing out curses and being particularly leery swans and all the sorts. In Hades 1, they didn't care about Zagreus. He was just some bozo they'd never heard of, trying to sort out a feud with his father. So they'd pop in from time to time and go, "Well, that totally sucks to hear, bro. Here, have a shiny trinket and a lollipop. Maybe you'll work it out or something. Oh, can't hear you over the partying we're doing up here on Party Mountain. Bye." And that was pretty much keeping in character for the gods. Zagreus was trying to form some kind of a connection with them to get them to care about him, to give him power to overcome his dad, and they gave him crumbs. The gods don't care. Why would they? It doesn't relate to them. This doesn't work in Hades 2. Melinoe gets the same scraps of power from the Greek gods to help her on her quest. But every message she has with them is them highlighting how important it is she succeeds. This is a quest to save the world, but, you know, we're still kind of busy up on Party Mountain, so here's a shiny trinket? It just doesn't quite make sense. The argument you could make is that they're busy under siege atop Big Party Mountain, but they're all powerful gods. They barely lift a finger beyond giving you your traditional choice of 3 options. When the core tenet of the roguelike, being the holy trinity of options, is sort of narratively detached from the game, it pulls that curtain away a little bit to reveal that this is a game to get a high score in, and not a quest that you're an active party in. People might not care about this sort of thing, and that's fine, but I do. It feels a little like it's this old familiar way for the sake of it being the familiar game mechanic. The only one who retains that indifference is Chaos. And that makes sense, because Chaos is this terrible, unknowable thing that all comes from and all returns to.
This cannot hear you, Spawn of Hades, but I can.
Oh god, it's so sexy. A further area where I think this thing falls apart a little and reveals that behind all these sexy gods is actually just a game of numbers and doing runs is death. No, not sexy death, just general death. In the war against Chronos, you're going to die. Probably. Except you don't. You just bail out at the last second.
Return to Shadow now.
In Hades 1, you were trying to escape the underworld, where the dead lie. Zagreus would die. Actually die. And then wake up where he started, where the dead arise for their afterlife. This was a nice little narrative touch that tied everything together.
Welcome to the House of Hades, where... Wait, I know you. Guess that means you died out there, huh? Well, don't be sad though, pretty much everybody dies sometime.
You would lose all the boons and such that you got on your quest because you died. That's what happens when you die. Your possessions are forfeit. But what about Melinoe? When she hits you with the Return to Shadow Now,
Return to Shadow now.
why does she lose all of her boons? She is strictly not dying. Never dying. You lose all your health, and at the last second, she calls time out and teleports out of there back to home base. Make a house a home. The repetitive nature of the runs is just once more for the sake of that's what the game is. It's just a game mechanic. It's not a new family member or a new run at life. It's just Melinoe dropped all her tools when she teleported away, or something. Not every roguelike needs to have a narrative reason to start afresh each run. But then, not every roguelike has a narrative that runs through each death in an intricate web of one singular person doing their best. So it feels a little odd to lose that. Similarly, Zagreus' story became a tragic one of a boy fighting through the underworld to see his mother on the surface. But the surface wasn't for him. So even in success, he'd still end up perishing after spending precious moments with his mum.
I scarce believe it. Zagreus?
Guess I'm just a little tired, that's all. Not accustomed to the weather, as I think you call it.
It was cool. It once more tied together the idea of completing a run and starting again. You're victorious, and then you die due to actual story reasons, starting once again and doing another run to see Mumsy.
However long it takes. Can't hold on.
Melinoe just once more returns for the sake of doing it again. Another night, another attempt. Literally, you finish either the ups or the downs, and you get your moment of triumph. And then Melinoe basically says, well, it's been rad, bye, and French exits back to home base. Make a house a home. Look, war is boring, and when you complete the war for the character to then just turn around and say, well, back we go to do it all again, maybe it's trying to tell you something about the futility of war, or how it never truly ends, or that there's no escaping time, or something, but it's not like the clock's turned back, which would almost work. Melinoe just goes home because it's a video game to get a high score in. I'm not going to go so far as saying this is Ludo narrative dissonance, but to go from a game that had the game mechanics work with the story, actual story reasons for why things happen the way they do, to a sequel where they sort of just gloss over a lot of it and brush it under the carpet and tell you not to think about that all too hard, and instead just go do another run, play the game more, get the high score. It feels bad. I just felt like we had a great moment of gameplay and narrative working together, and now it's just game mechanics for the sake of game mechanics. This isn't to say that Hades 2 is bad. It's really good. And now that you've had your mains, well, it's time for dessert, and we can talk about the good things about Hades 2. And what a dessert it is, as this is a game filled with fine meals. People are hot and looking for love.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Blind Date! And here is your host, Misaligned!
Hello and welcome to Blind Date with me, Scylla Black. Imagine I'm a horrible sea beast. It would be funnier that way. The pun does make sense. This is the show where we try and help our eligible bachelor find true love. Or at least a good time. Introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Polyphemus, I'm a Cyclops, and I'm looking for my eyes. So, my first question, and this is for everyone, if you had my eyes, would you give them to me? Things would be bright enough with me in the bedroom, so perhaps it's best we keep that blindfold on. Of course, because then you'll be able to see all I have to offer. Yeah, so I would take your eyes and then I would smash them into pieces and then stick my into them so that way my is always, you've always at my, and then whilst afterwards I'd put back into the eye socket with my and use that to you repeatedly in the eye holes. So hopefully you can then always see me coming. Hades 2 is obviously great. It uses very tight controls and a handful of moves to create a fast-paced whirlwind of destruction and mayhem on the screen that somehow makes sense. If you're looking at this, it could probably seem like a wall of visual and auditory noise, but when you're in the moment, it just works. Things feel mostly fair and like they make sense. On your quest to kill God, or I guess Titan, an attack on Titan, you'll get various boons from various gods. These are cool and change how you play. Your attacks now deal splash damage, or maybe fire damage, or maybe various other effects that all pop off together. The idea here is that you'll try to construct a build of random buffs to hopefully get you through to the end. And then not quite die trying, but still doing it all over again.
Return to Shadow now.
There are a bunch of different weapons, some of which are super cool and others aren't. But how the boons you've already seen interact and complement each other can be quite different. This, alongside the Daedalus hammers that you come across that fundamentally change how your weapons might work, provides a whole world of adaptability and versatility and variety to your endless slog of runs through the underworld, or perhaps even the surface. The key change from Hades 1 is that you now have magic, specifically mana. All of your attacks, which take up the 3 face buttons, can now be held down to charge them up for further, stronger effects. But this costs precious mana. How precious your mana isn't really relevant. There are a variety of abilities that will regain you your magic juice in a variety of ways, but it does at least provide a bit of a moment-to-moment gameplay resource management beyond just your health and trying to not die. Well, not die, but you know what I'm saying. The use of mana also builds up to a powerful sort of ultimate that you can unlock and then power up further, which is cool as it just adds more and more variability to things. That's sort of where Hades 2 strives. It has so many little systems ticking away that somehow all come together to feel whole and complete. Rarely does one system feel particularly at odds with the rest of the game. Sure, some of the weapons and the like are weird and bad, but maybe mastering those is all part of the experience. If you're the sort to spend several hundred hours plugging away at increasingly high levels of challenges, then that's all for you. Meanwhile, when you're new and bad at the game, you will be exposed to that repeated experience of nearly ascending. Or descending. You'll finally have a run where you're doing so well. You've got sustainability to keep you alive. You've got powers to keep your enemies dead. And it's just great. You feel it. This is it. This is the run. I'm going to punch that planet right in its hungry face.
Chronos!
And then you die. Or not die. And you can easily ride that wave into the next go.
No, I could have beaten him.
Each run is around 30 minutes long, and it is devilishly easy to string them all together, and before you know it, it's 1 AM and you've not done any of the work you said you were going to do. Or gone to bed.
Chaos seeks me.
The effectiveness of this game is that no run feels inherently bad. There's enough variance and strength gained along the way that you don't stop mid-run and think, I should just kill myself. I should just stop what I'm doing and put a bullet in my head. I should just straight up stop living and be done with this cursed life. I should just do it. I should just kill myself. Or that maybe your run isn't going your way and maybe you should just start again. Every run feels like it could go somewhere. Not all of them do, but that's the nature of the game. The good thing is that even in death, you can still make progress. Progress in romance. Yes, unlike in my real life, in Hades 2, you're surrounded by hot individuals who all want to spend time with you and talk to you. There are new faces, be they god or otherwise, for you to fall for and get to the bottom of their stories. From hot goth witches to hot goth witches, all the way through to hot goth warriors in the employ of a witch. It's great! There are also a ton of returning characters, such as your boon-giving gods, and this time they're mostly equipped for war, wearing armor and weapons, or nothing at all if you're Aphrodite. It's hot. On your quest, you can give them a drink to progress their friendship, and these stories are neat and fun and silly, and sometimes you get a little insight into a particular part of Greek myth.
Fine. Ogle if you must.
Or you get a lot of a sight of Dionysus's leopard print speedos. Ironically, not one of the characters you can get nude and have a bath with.
How long has it been since you last took off the armor?
A while. Not been much incentive.
Yes, I'm not joking. It's steamy. Hades 2 is, gameplay-wise, brilliant. It takes Hades 1 and builds on it, refines it, and just makes it more engaging. In theory, you'll eventually hit a point in playing this game where you're just doing runs for the love of the game, for that sweet gameplay mechanic magic. But up until that point, I feel there's just a tad bit of dissonance between the gameplay and the story, and the world it's telling. Our main character, Melinoe, almost falls to the sidelines at times as others are actually more important to putting a stop to the big bad, and the central thrust of the game itself is left to be a video game for the sake of a game, with little explanation beyond that. I feel like if we want to interpret video games as an art form, then we have to look at the full scope of the game. A game with a great story but alright game mechanics is good. A game with great game mechanics but an alright story will also be good. Heck, a game with a great mechanics and story will also be good if those two circles barely cross. But when they do cross, it's great because everything feels purposeful. I just wish Hades 2 went for a bit more effort to secure that final few steps to make this great game truly outstanding. Hello, and thank you for watching my video. It was about Hades 2. If you're wondering why I'm sat where I am with this weird angle, so I spent the entire video trying to stop my nip from being exposed, because it turns out rapidly just tying a bedsheet around yourself isn't conducive to a positive toga-based time. So I'm just everything from the nip up now to stop causing an incident, although I think it's on display. Anyway, if you have any thoughts about Hades 2, let me know. Ultimately, the thrust of this video wasn't that Hades 2 is a bad game, it's a great game. I just feel like it's a short-sighted experience when compared to the first. There are aspects of the gameplay which are much better than Hades 1. But it's the marrying of like the gameplay with the story is fundamentally lacking in Hades 2, in my opinion at least. And also the Supergiant games to just kind of release the same game, but better, again, feels kind of weird. Like, you know, I just want more ideas, I want more imaginative things, I want cool ideas and not just roguelikes forever. I love roguelikes, but can we do something else now? Anyway, like I said, let me know about your thoughts, opinions, feelings, what you did on the weekend. Let me know. And you can just otherwise check out some of my other stuff. So up here, we've got a video about Katamari Damacy, in which I obviously dress up like an idiot. It's fun, the game, and I hope the video very fun, very silly. Down here is another video I'm fairly certain about Hollow Knight 2, another indie game that's like a big sequel. They came out like the same time, it was insane. Check that out as well. Otherwise, you can click on my face orb to subscribe to my channel. It's on my face. Thank you and goodbye.